Good afternoon, dear conference participants. Let me present to you the result of our research on the topic Identification of Primorsk-1 wind power plant impact on the ecological situation connected with the behavior of ornithofauna on the Azov Sea coast. Research of the wind power plant impact on the environmental situation is becoming especially urgent. The energy strategy of Ukraine envisages producing at least 30% of renewable energy sources from all generated electricity by 2030. A significant part of wind power plants, VPPs, will be located on the Azov Sea coast. The natural territories of the Azov and Black Sea coast of Ukraine contain steppe plant communities and support numerous populations of birds migrating across Eurasia. Therefore, the formation of a system for monitoring, accessing, and anticipating the state of bird communities in this region is extremely important. The bird complexes monitoring in the territory of wind parks is usually carried out in two ways. One of them, proposed by the Scottish Natural Heritage Foundation, is based on the study of individual sites belonging to the wind park. Another method uses the results of observation made by the route-according method. There appears a question: which of the considered methods of studying the wind turbines' impact on the ecological situation connected in the territory of wind parks and adjacent areas is better? The work was performed on the basis of observation of the VPP Primorsk-1. The aim of the research work was to analyze the results of monitoring in the wind power plant territory by the method RAM and by the method SNH to achieve the aim. It was necessary to organize seasonal observation of bird complexes in the Primorsk-1 wind park territory and accomplish the following objectives. To identify the distribution of birds, to choose a method for anticipating the possibility of birds' interactions with turbines, to carry out a competitive analysis of data on the behavior of birds in the wind park territory. Observation sites were selected in accordance with the recommendations of the SNH Foundation. Monitoring of seasonal ornithological situation at 3 observation points belonging to the Primorsk VPP territory was carried out during 2017. You can see this in the picture on the slide. The observation results were entered into forms. Samples are shown in Table 1. The dependence of the observation duration T and the length of life cycle phases TLCP of birds on the registration season as applied to the annual cycle of the Primorsk-1 Wind Park Foundation is given in Table 2. The TLC value is calculated on the basis of conditionally light 12.5 hours per day in spring and summer periods, 10 hours in autumn, and 8 hours in winter. The research was carried out in accordance with the requirements of national legislation. The coordinates of the registered birds, observation sites, and wind park territory were linked to a Google map, which made it possible to identify the direction of flight and number of parameters necessary to describe the behavior of birds in the wind park territory. Using the route-according method of observation, observer was moving on foot or by car. An example of a route indicating the coordinates of bird registration table through is in this slide. An example of results of registration of migratory movements of birds in this slide. Observations at points OP1, OP2 and OP3 were monitored using SNH recommendations in 2017. The total number of registered birds was 5,923 specimens of 45 species. In 2018, in the process of monitoring the territory by the RAM method, birds sitting on the ground, wires, trees and bushes were additionally registered and included in the group called terrestrial. The total number of registered birds on the routes was 8,927 specimens. Distribution of birds by season registered by the SNH method in 2017 and by the RAM method in 2018, given in the table 5 in this slide. According to monitoring in 2017, 64% birds have flown in transit. The greatest bird activity was observed in spring, 36%, and autumn, 35% seasons of migration, when the transit group accounted for 76% of all annual transit flights. The predominant directions of migration were northern, northeastern, eastern, western, and northwestern. In the RZ zone, there were 72 birds of 4 species. The result of monitoring in 2018 also showed that the greatest migration activity of birds is observed in autumn, 70%, and spring, 15%, and the share of the transit group in these seasons accounted for 93% of all annual transit flights. The predominant directions of flights were western, northeastern, and southwestern. The RZ contains 4 specimens of the species Buteo. Less than 1%, 2 birds of forage type were registered in the spring migration period at an altitude of 100 meters. 2 birds have flown in autumn and an altitude of 150 meters. To analyze the observation results, the following formulas were used. The number of flying birds over the territory of the wind park at each moment on time, method SNH and method RAM, formula 1 in this slide. The number of collisions of birds with turbines, formula 1 in this slide. Results of the analysis by the SNH1 and the RAM method 2 given in the table 6. According to table 6, the total number of birds of transit and forage types registered by different observation methods. The transit group of specimens that have flown over the territory of the wind park was about 40,000 to 50,000 birds. There were about 2,400 to 7,500 specimens of 4 species. The result of monitoring in the territory of the wind power plant Primorsk-1. The research was conducted by 2 methods of observation made according to the recommendation of the Scottish National Heritage Foundation and route according methods. The number of birds registered in 2017 by the SNH method was 5,923 specimens of 45 species. The total number of registered birds by the RAM method in 2018 was 8,927 specimens of 72 species. In the risk zone of interaction with turbines in 2017, there were 72 birds on 4 species.